Alrighty. Well, RJ, thank you for hopping on in this interview session. So I'm Bilal Malas with Lux Sales Consulting, and I'm with RJ Whitelock, founder and financial advisor at Sales Saving Strategies. And I'm super excited about this. RJ joined us about 4 months ago, I believe, and he's been with us at the in the SLS Framework Mastermind. And he initially joined us to solve lead generation. He has an established team. And obviously, RJ, I'm going to pass the ball to you in a second. You have a team and you wanted to solve two things: lead generation for both prospecting for new clients and for hiring. So that's what I want to mainly talk about today. And RJ, I want to ask you first of all, of course, please introduce yourself. What's your, who are you? Where are you from? And what is it exactly that you do?
Yeah, so RJ Whitelock, founder and financial advisor of Sales Saving Strategies. Our core focus is helping tech sales professionals, basically have fantastic financial planning, and so that's kind of our marketplace. And for me, I run a team within my firm, and so two things that I was looking to do was to up my prospecting or increase my prospecting pipeline, as you mentioned, and then also to recruit new team members to our firm. And so whether they work with me in kind of my own kind of unit focusing on sales professionals, or some other place with our firm, just making sure that we have a good pipeline of people who are coming in from a talent acquisition perspective.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And you focus on helping sales leaders, account executives, business development representatives, so just people in the sales sector, and even entrepreneurs. And before joining the SLS Framework Mastermind, I know you were using Facebook ads, paid webinars, even LinkedIn automation, and even relying on referrals, as everyone should. But that's not consistent. Only to rely on that. And I know we weren't necessarily getting the results that you wanted. And I wanted to talk a bit more about that part before joining the SLS Framework Mastermind. Like, how did you feel about using these strategies, and what kind of frustrations were you facing?
Yeah, so I've constantly been looking for ways to solve prospecting because I always felt like if I could figure out prospecting for myself, then it makes it easier for me to figure out prospecting for my team, and that's really a big income driver for me. And so a part of my reason for going through the process was, one, I like the process. It made a lot of sense to me. And it was really helpful to be able to dig down and identify a good niche, and be more specific than I've been in the past on who am I going to work with, how am I going to identify who are good clients, and then how do I get them into my pipeline. And so having a better framework allows me to kind of cut out a lot of stuff that I was doing that wasn't very productive, especially like the Facebook ads and webinars. Like I was getting leads, but they weren't necessarily ideal clients. And so I felt like I was really wasting my money on people who weren't really a good fit for my business.
Mm-hmm. And so after joining the SLS Framework Mastermind, if I remember properly, let me just pull up the numbers here. We're at generating about 3 to 5 appointments a week, and that's over a period of about, I believe, a month and a half, or if not more. And you're getting qualified, basically, just like you said, ideal clients, qualified prospects. Out of that lead generation period, we got 28 qualified prospects. 28 of those, 28 other leads went to follow-ups. And then obviously you have some unqualified leads in there. And so basically it's fair to say that we have a prospecting machine that's, generating qualified appointments with, your ideal clients. And what I want to talk a bit more about as well is, how you see the future of, your team, your brand and your team through the SLS Framework Mastermind, and hiring, specifically hiring, because I know you're able to right now to generate, prospects for to get them as clients, right? But how about the hiring piece? How are you able to see the SLS Framework Mastermind fit with your hiring needs as well?
Yeah, so I think it's it's following the same process. It's just for a different purpose, right? So it's repositioning, the framework for recruiting or hiring advisors, and then kind of replicating the system. So like identifying people through utilizing the messaging through LinkedIn, so automation, and then once you identified good people, bringing them in and then using the same system that you're using for prospecting to help them start out in their business, because the business is very difficult in the beginning and prospecting is always the biggest challenge. And so if I have a good system to bring somebody in, that reduces the barrier of entry for people to come into our industry.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, I remember when you joined us, we, we're always hiring using our own, our own framework, right? And, you know, at any stage, whether it be prospecting or hiring, it's a nice synergy to have in which, we've done it, we're doing it on a high level. And then whenever you're ready for, scalability, we're here to just coach you through it. And I want to talk a bit about that feeling of having us available. Like how does that feel like before joining the SLS Framework Mastermind? Now you're part of it. You're part of our community. How does it feel like at any point of, whether you want to scale your team, you want to hire talent, you want to optimize your profile to speak to both, right? Prospecting for new clients and for hiring. Like how do you feel about having that, like us, I guess back you up through that journey?
No, it's good to have people who know what they're doing, like with the from not only from a content material, right? Because I think content is really super important, right? Having the right profile, having the right messaging, but then also having a good understanding of the technology behind what's going to drive the actual activity. Because I can only make so many calls a day, I can only do so many meetings, but I can have the system working for me in the background when I'm doing something else. And so I think having those two things combined is huge for me.
Thanks for sharing that, RJ. One last question. I have two questions remaining. First of all, I want to say is, what would you say to someone, let's say someone who has a team, um, and wants to solve hiring? All right. What would you say to them? And because I speak to, agency owners, team leaders that are looking to solve hiring. We speak to them every single day. And not only do they want to prospect for new clients, but what would you say to an agency owner, someone who's leading a team, about who's on the edge of joining the SLS Framework Mastermind and wants to solve hiring? What would you tell them they're on the edge of joining?
I think it's kind of like anything else, right? Like you have to find a good system that works for recruiting and hiring people. And the SLS framework works for prospecting. And in reality, recruiting is prospecting. And so I feel like having a good system for prospecting is the same thing as having a good recruiting system. And so utilize the tools, utilize the Lux team to help get you through the system. And just follow the system. The system works.
Thanks for sharing that, RJ. Yeah, recruiting is like sales, literally. I don't see
Yeah.
any difference. And I appreciate you for sharing that. RJ, the last question I have for you is, I see you have thyme, garlic, sage, cilantro in the back. My favorite is dill. All right.
Nice.
What would be your favorite spice?
It's funny. I never even look at that sign, but I would say garlic.
Garlic breads are good, man.
Yeah, garlic.
All righty, RJ. Well, I appreciate you.
Dining room today, so
Thank you, RJ.
no problem.